Welcome back to Paranormal Link Ohio podcast, the show where we explore the world's darkest mysteries, haunted legends, and unexplained phenomena. I'm your host, Ed, and tonight we're stepping into an elevator. Not just any elevator, one that according to an internet legend can transport you somewhere no one should ever go. Some call it a game, others call it a ritual. And a few who claim to have played it say they came back different. Tonight we ask, is the elevator game simply another creepy internet story, or could there be something much darker waiting behind those closing elevator doors? So turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and whatever you do, don't press the wrong button. What is the elevator game? The elevator game first gained popularity online around 2011. Stories began appearing on paranormal forums, message boards, and horror websites. The legend claims that if someone follows a large specific sequence of elevator button presses in a building with at least 10 floors, they may open a doorway into another world, a place that looks almost identical to ours, but isn't. According to believers, once the ritual begins, strange things can happen. The lights flicker. The elevator moves in unexpected ways. You may hear whispers. You may feel someone standing beside you, even though you're alone. And then the doors open, but you're no longer where you started. The origin of the legend. No one knows exactly where the elevator game began. Many believe it originated in South Korea before spreading across the internet. Others argue it evolved from older supernatural rituals involving mirrors, abandoned buildings, and spirits believed to inhabit elevators. As the legend spread, more people claimed they had tried it. Most reported nothing unusual, but some described experiences that still haunt them years later. Whether these stories are true is impossible to verify. Yet they continue to circulate, growing stranger with every retelling. One of the most well-known stories tells of a young woman who allegedly disappeared after attempting the elevator game. Security footage reportedly showed her entering an elevator alone. She was never seen leaving. Some versions claim the cameras malfunctioned. Others say she simply vanished between floors. No verified evidence has ever supported the story. But legends don't survive because they're proven. They survive because they make people wonder. What if? The fifth floor. Nearly every version of the legend includes one terrifying detail. At some point during the ritual, the elevator stops at the fifth floor. The doors slowly slide open. A woman enters. She may appear completely normal, or she may have unnaturally long black hair covering her face. Some say she's wearing old-fashioned clothing. Others describe glowing eyes. Many insist she smiles. One thing remains consistent. Whatever happens, you're never supposed to acknowledge her. Don't look at her. Don't speak to her. Don't answer if she talks to you. According to the legend, she isn't human. Despite countless warnings, thousands of people claim they attempted the elevator game. Some do it for social media, others are thrill seekers, and some genuinely believe they can cross into another reality. Videos online show people entering empty elevators late at night, documenting every step. Most end in laughter, some end in panic. A few end abruptly, with the camera cutting out before anything can be explained. Did something happen? Or did fear simply take over? That's the question. There's no scientific evidence that the elevator game can transport someone to another dimension. Psychologists suggest that expectation, stress, darkness, and isolation can cause people to notice ordinary sounds and events in extraordinary ways. The elevator creaks, lights flicker, the building settles, your imagination fills in the rest. But believers argue something else. They say too many stories share the same details. Too many strangers describe similar experiences. Too many people claim to have felt an overwhelming sense that something unseen entered the elevator with them. Coincidence? Or something waiting to be discovered? As we continue tonight's journey, we'll examine the mysterious rules of the elevator game, exploring terrifying accounts from people who claim to have played it, and ask whether anyone has truly crossed into another world, or whether the only place they traveled was deeper into their own fears. If you're just joining us, tonight we are exploring one of the internet's most infamous urban legends, the elevator game. Remember, everything we discussed tonight is presented as folklore and internet legend. There is no verified evidence that this ritual works, but the story surrounding it has fascinated and frightened people around the world, so something has to be attached to it. Now let's dive into the tales that keep this legend alive. Here are some of the strange experiences. Thousands of people online claim they've attempted the elevator game. Most report nothing unusual, but then there are the stories that stand out. One person claimed the elevator became unnaturally silent. The normal hum of the motor disappeared. It felt as though the entire building had ceased to exist. Another described the lights dimming for just a split second before returning to normal. When the doors opened, the hallway outside looked familiar, but completely empty. No footsteps, no voices, no movement, just silence. The person said the silence was so complete that it felt heavy, almost alive. One of the most repeated parts of the legend involves entering what players call the other world. According to these stories, everything appears almost identical to reality. Almost. Streetlights glow without illuminating anything. Buildings stand empty, cars sit abandoned. The air feels unusually still. Some claim they can see a giant red cross or glowing object in the distance. Others say electronic devices stop working correctly. Cell phones lose signal, cameras refuse to focus, batteries drain unexpectedly. Again, there's no evidence these stories are true, but they continue to spread because of so many versions describe similar details. Let's return to the figure said to appear during the game. She's become one of the most recognizable characters in modern urban legend. Descriptions vary. Some say she's beautiful. Others describe her as pale, emotionless, with unnaturally dark eyes. Many report that she speaks softly. She may ask simple questions. Where are you going? Are you lost? Or will you help me? According to the legend, responding to her is the worst mistake a player can make. Believers claim she isn't trying to help. She's trying to keep you there forever. One anonymous post describes a player who supposedly ignored every warning. When the woman entered the elevator, he looked directly into her eyes. He claimed he couldn't remember anything that happened afterward. The next thing he remembered, he was standing in his apartment hours later. His shoes were muddy, his phone battery was dead, he had no memory of getting home. Another story tells of someone who insisted they reached the other world. When they looked out a window, they could see the city stretching for miles. Not a single person was moving. No traffic, no birds, nothing. Just an endless empty world. True? Probably impossible to verify, but undeniably unsettling. Why do these stories affect people so deeply? Our brains are incredibly powerful. When we expect something frightening to happen, we're more likely to notice every unusual sound, every flicker of light, every creak in an old building. This is known as expectation bias. Add darkness, isolation, late-night fatigue, and an active imagination, suddenly an ordinary elevator ride can feel terrifying. Psychologists believe that's exactly what's happening. Our minds connect unrelated events into a story. A harmless coincidence becomes something supernatural. Of course, believers have another explanation. They argue that not every experience can be dismissed so easily. How do strangers from different countries describe similar details? Why do certain elements appear again and again? The woman, the silence, the empty world, the feeling of being watched. Could these similarities simply be the result of people reading the same stories online? Or could they point toward something none of us fully understand? So far, we've explored the origins of the elevator game, the mysterious woman said to appear on the 5th floor, and the chilling stories that have spread across the internet for more than a decade. But now we're going to examine why this legend has become so believable to so many people. Is there something supernatural at work? Or is it our own mind, the greatest storyteller of them all? Imagine this. It's 2 a.m. You're alone in an old apartment building. The halls are quiet. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. You step into an elevator by yourself. Every time the doors open, your heart beats a little faster. You begin expecting something strange to happen. That's when your brain goes into high alert. Psychologists call this hypervigilance, a heightened state of awareness where your senses become tuned to every tiny sound and movement. A small mechanical creak suddenly sounds like footsteps. A flickering light feels like a warning. An ordinary vibration becomes something far more sinister. In other words, fear changes the way we experience reality. Pareidolia. There's another phenomenon that could explain some of the stories surrounding the elevator game. It's called pareidolia. That's our brain's tendency to recognize meaningful patterns where none actually exist. It's why we see faces in clouds or shapes in the shadows. It's a dimly lit elevator with fear already taking hold. The brain can easily mistake reflections, lighting, or movement for something or someone standing nearby. Could that explain reports of shadowy figures? Yeah, it could. But not everyone is convinced. One of the most talked about stories online comes from a person who claimed they reached the other world. According to the account, they stepped out of the elevator expecting to find a hallway. Instead, everything was silent. The lights worked, doors opened, there were no people, no sounds, no signs of life. They wondered for what felt like several minutes before returning to the elevator. When they arrived back in the normal world, they claimed only a few seconds had passed. Is it true? No one really knows. Could it be? Yes, it could. But there is no evidence to verify the story. But it remains one of the most frequently shared accounts connected to the legend. One reason urban legends survive is because people naturally add details over time. A simple story grows. Each retelling becomes more dramatic, more mysterious, more frightening. The elevator game is a perfect example. Early versions of the legend were relatively simple. Years later, new details appeared. The mysterious woman, the empty city, the glowing red cross in the distance, the inability to use electronics. Each addition made the story richer, scarier. But is it just that? Or did these people actually see this? They got further and further and found more of this stuff, and it's all true. Urban legends tap into something deeply human. They blur the line between reality and imagination. They're just believable enough to make us wonder. We've all ridden elevators. We've all been alone in empty buildings. We've all experienced moments where a familiar place suddenly felt wrong. The elevator game takes those everyday experiences and transforms them into something terrifying. That's why it sticks with us. Belief itself can be powerful. If someone is convinced they're stepping into another dimension, every strange event becomes proof. That's called confirmation bias. We notice things that support what we already believe, and we ignore the things that we don't. It's one reason ghost stories, haunted houses, and urban legends continue to thrive. Not because they're necessarily true, but because they make us question what we know. Think about the last time you were alone in an elevator. Did you ever feel like someone else was there? Did you ever glance at the security camera or wonder why the hallway seemed darker than usual? Most of us have. And that's exactly why the elevator game continues to capture our imagination. Because deep down, we've all imagined the impossible. If you had a chance, would you step inside the elevator? Again, tonight we've explored one of the internet's most enduring urban legends, the elevator game. We've looked at its mysterious origins, the stories of people who claim to have played it, and the psychology that may explain why so many believe something extraordinary happened. Now it's time to answer the question that brought us here. Is there any evidence the elevator game actually works? Let's start with the facts. To date, there is no verified scientific evidence that anyone has traveled to another dimension by performing the elevator game. No confirmed photographs, no authenticated videos, no documented cases accepted by researchers. But we got to remember, science is very closed-minded. Science is very on cue. It has to be there. They have to see it. They have to know it. They pretty much have to be able to be the ones to say that they created it. I personally believe that there could be something like this out there. Every story connected to the legend relies on personal testimony or anonymous internet posts. That doesn't automatically make those experiences false. It simply means they can't be independently verified. People often ask, if it isn't real, why do so many people describe similar experiences? There are a few possible explanations. The first is that many versions of the legend are copied and retold online, causing the same details to appear again and again. The second is that our minds naturally look for patterns. When people expect something paranormal, ordinary events can suddenly seem extraordinary. A strange noise, a flickering light, an unexpected stop. The feeling that someone is standing just behind you. Those experiences can feel absolutely real, even if there's a completely ordinary explanation. I have been to a lot of investigations that they have worked me up because of all the stories I've heard. And then it's true, like some things will heighten it. Sometimes these stories can be worked up so much and you go there and absolutely nothing happens. But I know what I've seen and I know what I've experienced in the years that I've done this. I know the paranormal is very real and it can have an attachment to us and it can do things like this. Could there be something we don't understand? Of course. There are those who believe science doesn't yet have all the answers. History is full of mysteries that were once dismissed. Could there be places where reality feels thinner? Could there be experiences we simply don't understand? Maybe. Or maybe the elevator game survives because it represents one of humanity's oldest fears, opening a door and finding something waiting on the other side. Should you try it? As a podcast that explores the strange and unexplained, I don't encourage anyone to perform rituals or test urban legends out. Whether you believe it's supernatural or psychological, intentionally putting yourself into a frightening situation late at night can have real consequences. If you're in an abandoned building late at night, sometimes there can be more to it there. There could be homeless people, there could be drug addicts that can come and attack you. You have to be very, very careful. Plus, you cannot just jump into a paranormal investigation if you don't, know what you're doing. I'm not saying don't try it. Learn and then try. Sometimes the greatest danger isn't another dimension. It's what fear can convince us is real. Urban legends tell us as much about ourselves as they do about monsters. They remind us that curiosity is powerful, fear is powerful, and imagination. Maybe the most powerful force of all. Maybe the elevator game is nothing more than a modern campfire story. Maybe it's an elaborate internet myth. Or maybe, somewhere in an old apartment building, an elevator door is opening. Someone steps inside. The buttons begin lighting up on their own. The elevator climbs, stops. The door slides open, and someone or something steps in. Thank you for joining us for episode 4 of the Paranormal Inc. Ohio podcast. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast. We're on all podcast formats. Now we are on YouTube podcasts. You can check us out there and share us out. Subscribe to us, like, everything. Share this out with your friends who love mysteries, hauntings, and urban legends as much as you do. And now we want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced something strange in an elevator? Do you think the elevator game is just another internet legend? Or do you believe there's something more to it? Let me know in the comments. Or send me your story. Your experience could be featured in one of the episodes if you want it to be. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, but remember, some doors are better left closed. If you have any stories, you can send them to paranormalhelp937@gmail.com, or you can go to paranormalinkohio.com, which will take you directly to our business page. And there you can just message me straight from there. So I hope you guys had a great night. Thank you. I love each and every single one of you, and you will hear me from the next one. Bye, everyone.